Morning, peeps. The chances I can navigate my own way back to the freeway are slim to none. Thank you, Garmin, for being up to your old tricks again. So, it is 7:45. I'm learning things like maybe print out your itinerary and rank the stuff that you would maybe skip if you ran out of time. Otherwise, you just skip the stuff at the end of the day, which may be the best stuff. Well, so far there's only really one way to go, so this is good old Vilamoura, which is like supposedly one of the more oh, look that. There's signs. It is definitely one of the more seaside resort towns. So, had a really, really mediocre dinner. The gin was good. The quote garlic bread, which was actually just a pizza crust with garlic butter on it, was actually good. And then I had gorgonzola panniers, which is like Kraft mac and cheese with slices of like ham sandwich ham in it and gorgonzola mixed in, and it was absolutely terrible. So what are you gonna do?
Starting in Vilamoura put me in the middle of the Algarve, halfway to Spain in the east and the Atlantic Ocean to the west. My plan for the day was to blast over to the Spanish border on the freeway and then amble back along the coast seeing several sights. Once I got close to my hotel, I'd get back on the freeway, blast over to the town of Portimao, and then head towards my hotel on secondary roads. Most of the sites I wanted to stop at would be in the morning. In the afternoon, I just wanted to ride through some of the towns to get a feel for the Algarve. The trouble that I had yesterday with my cameras taught me a lot. You have to plan to stop and ensure the cameras are rolling. It's easy not to notice that a camera battery has died or the lens is covered in bugs, so you really have to stop to check it all out. I'm used to not stopping and being on the clock. It takes a lot of mental effort for me to ride at a relaxed pace and enjoy my time off the bike. Let's see if I learned my lessons and had a better day on day 2.
Okay, quite the little impressive castle and fortification here on the outside of Castro Marin. Over there is Spain. A sculpture. Okay, so far I'm impressed. We're headed to the Marquês de Pombal statue. He was born, I don't know why the hell it's the statue. I think he was born here, but I didn't pay attention to why the statue was here. Good old Marquis is one of my favorite characters from Portuguese history. So he was in the military, but he wasn't a very good soldier. But he was a fairly savvy politician. When the earthquake happens, the king freaks the hell out, okay? The king is literally never sleeps inside a stone building or brick building ever again. Like, he's like, nope, not gonna do that. And he hires the Marquis to rebuild Lisbon. He does some experiments and determines that if timber framed buildings survive better an earthquake. Now his experiments were he built models and on wooden platform and had soldiers march around the wooden platform, and the ones that fell over were not good and the ones that stayed up were good. So he builds these timber framed structures, and they sure shit, they're much better than earthquakes. And so they rebuild Lisbon in this style, and that's why all the buildings in Lisbon, in the old historic part of Lisbon are, it's like straight streets, and they all look very similar because they were all built at the same time and there was only rubble there. Now, when he does this, he pisses off the church, because the church, they wanted to rebuild it, and because there's a lot of money and things involved in doing that, but they wanted the churches rebuilt first. And the old Marquis was like, y'all on your own, people don't live in churches, we need to take care of the people first. This starts a long history of the old Marquis and the church not getting along. So he rebuilds Lisbon, and the king is a shattered man, apparently. I mean, he was always apparently kind of a coward. He's depicted on a horse in Lisbon, and because he's noble and regal and whatnot. And it's kind of like, yeah, not really known for, like, in his day, that wasn't the thing. Okay. So anyway, the good old Marquis pretty much becomes the king's ruler. I mean, like, he becomes the king's guy. He basically is all powerful and rules like a dictator, and does things that he wants. But I mean, he doesn't, like, actually become king. And he appears to be a fairly pragmatic guy. Anyway, later, there's an attempted assassination of the king that is backed by the church, because they're upset that the king has given all his power to both of them. So the assassination, and the Marquis de Pombal is supposed to, he's the one who is going to prosecute the conspirators. So of course, he rounds up the conspirators, plus conveniently some of his biggest enemies just happen to be in on the plot, or at least that's what he says. He consolidates even more power. Unfortunately, when the king dies and his daughter ascends to the throne, she's highly religious and hates Pombal. The article I read, maybe it's in the Wikipedia, is like, the first known restraining order is ever issued. The Marquis can't be within 20 miles of the queen. And if she comes to the town, he moves out of Lisbon. If she comes to the town where he lives, he's required to vacate his property. Poor old Marquis de Pombal is kind of relegated to the backside of Portuguese politics at that point. Eventually, the queen, though, she moves off to Brazil to escape Napoleon, but she's like totally insane at that point, possibly due to inbreeding in the royal family, or syphilis or some other thing. I don't know anything about that. When I told the story to someone else, they said, "Oh, maybe syphilis," and I was like, "Well, yes, that does get around, but I don't think she was that kind." But anyway, she was pretty crazy at the end, so she's known as the Mad Queen of Brazil. Anyway, so now I gotta go find the statue for Marquis de Pombal. I think it's a couple blocks away.
Okay, now that I'm back and have done a bit of research, I know why the square is known as the Praça do Marquês de Pombal. The town of Vila Real de Santo Antonio was built after the 1755 earthquake using the same construction techniques used to rebuild Lisbon. Now, there's no clear record of why the decision was made to build a town here, but I'm choosing to believe it was primarily to collect taxes on goods being smuggled across the border with Spain. After all, the customs house was the first building finished here. Captain Ronaldo Manuel dos Santos designed the square. Santos worked under the Marquis during the reconstruction of Lisbon after the earthquake. Santos also helped plan the statue of King José I in the Praça do Comércio in Lisbon. The obelisk is the heart of the square, placed in 1776 in honor of the king. There is a bridge north of the town that crosses into Spain, but apparently a car ferry still continues to operate here in town. I wish I'd known that when I visited, as I love to take ferries.
Okay, so didn't do full research. It is the plaza of the Marquis de Pombal, but the monument is actually to the king. So, He's always politically astute. Don't want to overshadow the king. Yeah, Carmen's up to its old tricks. Where to? And this place has all these lovely little Portuguese tile murals. I didn't notice that one until I put the good camera away, but hopefully it gets to see a little bit on the one of these cameras.
My ride this morning was going well. As with the first day, my research before the ride was lacking, and I got a few things wrong. But hey, I'm not an expert, and I'm sure I'll get a few more comments below correcting me. I hope you enjoyed your ride with me and my observations on the Marquis. If you did, I'd appreciate a like, and if you loved it, subscribe and tell your friends. If you click the bell, you'll be notified when my next video is ready. Feel free to drop a note below to say hi. Thanks, and may you have travel and good fortune in your future.